From Los Angeles and Nashville, get ready to go behind the scenes with Entertainment Dudes. What happens when you pair a director, a voice actor in a world, and some of the most interesting people in entertainment? You're about to find out.
We'll fix that in post.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to add Brooklyn to that mix there.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, and Brooklyn and show like Nathan. Coney Island.
Welcome to Entertainment Dudes. Hey, if you're watching or listening only, we're also available on video on any of your podcast apps that support video or on YouTube. youtube.entertainmentdudes.com. You can go there, like, and subscribe. And today, as you probably can tell, our special guest right beneath us is Uncle Roy Yokelson. Woo!
Wow, we are in stereo. Jason, you're coming out of this ear.
Uh-huh.
Watch it. Does this
Cam,
change?
where are you,
Yeah,
Cam?
I'm there.
Hello.
No, you're in the Cam. You're
I'm in the middle.
Yeah,
Am I left? I'm left, right?
You're on my left.
On left only. So I I thought that
Fix
was my
that.
headphones.
I don't even know how to do that.
You're
Don't make
already
me-
helping us, Roy.
Don't make me come out there.
Roy is the audio expert genius and
you first.
is already helping bug our show.
And I'm shining my bowling trophy. Yeah,
Hey.
man. Yeah, I came in second place.
Let's go bowling.
Let's go. It's a bowling. It's a new theme.
Look at my
I had started doing this on one of the EWABs episode where George says, "Do you want everybody to hear your processing?" And they asked Cam, and we were just supposed to give a simple yes or no answer, and not where you would think I'd be polishing my Emmy.
You've got your Emmy?
I have one Emmy. You have
Emmy?
you have like three at least.
Hey.
How many do you have?
I have.
Oh, you got one too?
Hello.
my
How are
goodness.
you?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, he's got two Emmys.
No,
Okay, I've only
he
got
has more than. It's just that he has two hands.
I've got three, but one is like way up on a shelf, and I'm too lazy to get it.
But does everybody know the danger of owning an Emmy? It's like a pair of scissors. You can't run with it. You'll poke your eye out on one of these sharp things.
Or a fork. I have actually eaten with my Emmy before.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I mean, how much mashed potatoes are you going to get up with a bowling trophy?
No,
It's really,
nothing. The Emmy is
really not.
there's something special.
I slept with mine until one time. It was terrible. I stopped.
Did you get the stitches out yet?
Yes, this eye actually isn't even real.
Which one? That eye?
Yeah, I got it out. It's
You went to the Colombo School of
that marble eyes. Yeah.
Marble eyes.
Excellent. So I was wondering, are we talking about stuff today or just talking about stuff?
I don't know.
What are we gonna do? What do you think?
Are you going to be in my left ear, or
I don't know.
You mono it later?
You guys are bananas, you know.
No, you're a banana.
Oh boy.
No, I'm the king.
Okay.
That's why I was 2 minutes late. There was a long line.
Have you ever been to Coney Island?
That's the Brooklyn theme. Don't make me don't make me go out to my driveway and grab a cone, you conehead.
Look at that guy rise to the occasion. I'm telling you, Cam.
Wow.
No matter what.
I should go get my Rise dispensary bag.
It's all about the vase.
All about the vape. You guys really drive me crazy.
Oh man!
Wow.
You guys quit goofing off. Oh man!
So,
The ultimate remover.
oh gosh.
All right, guys, let's hit all the highlights this time.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow! Here comes Dottie Pearl again. She likes to be in the show.
Oh my gosh. So actually, I mean, we're here to talk about
Dottie
audio,
Pearl.
right?
Yes, we are.
What?
We're here to talk about audio, right?
No, he's on the left.
I'm on the
You
left
might
channel.
be on the right. Or
I'm on
you
the
could
both.
Should I pan myself to the right?
Is that something I'm doing that I can
Yes,
only get one
this is
channel?
something you're doing.
Okay,
And
let's see
Roy
here.
has live on the podcast diagnosed your problem, Jason.
How about this? Is that?
Oh,
No.
that's terrible. You
That's
put the
awful.
pad on. You put the pad on. Take that pad off.
No. How about that? Good.
No, that's too low.
No.
How's
put
that? Better.
That's better.
That's
and
good volume, but
you're on my left.
Better. Okay.
Put it
Left.
in the middle. You have a pad
where
pot.
is
You
it?
have a.
No.
You have to go to audio mapping.
There.
Audio
No.
hardware
Yeah.
mapping, maybe.
I don't know.
Well, hey, we can fix this
I'll
on
fix it. Have to do
on
it
the
on
next
somebody else's
episode.
time.
Post. Fix it in post.
fix it in
By
post.
the end of the episode, we'll have it all worked out.
Afterwards, Roy will spend about a half an hour with Jason, and
Right, I got
fix all his audio.
I got plenty
issues.
of time. Yeah, what I love. to
Speaking
do.
of, this is one of the things that you do is you help people with their studio audio, correct?
Absolutely.
I troll the Facebook groups like Inside Adobe Audition and stuff, or if somebody mentions my name, somebody
Right.
tags me, I just immediately go to them and say, "Need help with your Adobe or whatever it is, Twisted Wave or Audacity." Not a fan of Reaper, not a fan of Studio One, but those who use it, I'm not a hater. It's just not my cup of tea. I can't.
I'm an audition guy myself.
Yeah. But you didn't take my 2-hour life-changing Adobe Audition class yet.
No, but that's because I've been using it since that was Cool Edit Pro. So.
I've been using it since it was Cool Edit 96.
Ooh.
Before it went pro. Yeah. And I think I even have like a Cool Edit version 1 install disk. Although that's not what we're using these days.
Nah. But in case you come across like a Windows 3.1 computer or something like that, you can.
Then that's probably the only thing that'll. Some people I still install version 3 because I have the serial number. It's not a crack version.
Right.
They just don't support it anymore.
No.
So when people say I can't, this such and such happened in Adobe 3, I'm probably the only tech who will address those issues. Adobe doesn't want to hear about it.
Right.
They want you to spend money.
Yeah, but
Weird.
for audio recording, it's still got Wave, it's still got all that stuff. So it's like
There's one thing in Adobe Audition 3 that I can't figure out how to do in the current 14.4. It used to have a fade out function. So let's say you got soft at the end of a sentence.
Right.
You could fade out, but instead of fading out to -600, if you fade out to +5, it would fade it up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'll have to show you that sometime.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool
So
trick.
Where
And
did
Adobe,
you go ahead?
No, I was just saying, old Adobe only worked on a PC. Oh, here's Maggie. Come here, Mag. We got everybody's. Oh, there goes Don.
You have the entire menagerie has
all
come
two of
to
them.
the podcast.
Yeah, well, if we talk baby talk, then the cats come. So what we
I was gonna say, where did you start out? How did you get into this crazy business?
Many people have heard this part of the story before, but I could bore you again. When I was 2, I had a record player, and I had 145 record, Perry Como's Papa Loves Mambo, and I played it over and over and over and over. Yeah, see, sing it. See, sing it. We're gonna have a contest later. Sing a duet with harmony.
I'll be off. Guys, I gotta go. Sorry.
And so it drove my father crazy, and his friend said, well, put in a headphone jack. That'll shut the speaker off. So at 2, I had headphones, which is today's normal.
Right.
A 2-year-old probably has headphones.
And an iPhone and an iPad.
Yes. And then when I was 5, he gave me a tape recorder. And I was the kid on the block with the puppet stage in my basement. And we didn't know that, but we pre-recorded the dialogue. We didn't know that's the way you do it. We just thought it was a good idea, having played with a tape recorder. And sound is just my passion. How can I fix sound? How can I make your sound better? How can I fix your workflow? And I mostly self-taught until I got a job at National Recording Studios in New York City, which at the time was the top commercial recording studio. And my mentor saw that I would be good at this and kind of trained me. And one day came in thinking he had an 11 o'clock session, only it was a 10 o'clock session. So I was there, and they said, hey, where's Frank? And I said, well, I don't know. Okay, take one. And that was it was a Purina good muse spot with a band and with singers and with dialogue, and I'll play it for you later. It's what I call kiddie disco. It's a little disco, 1970s disco track that went with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all through, when I was in high school, I was on the AV squad, like probably many of us were, who had an interest in that. And after high school, I went, there was no career, career training. Mm-hmm. There was no Institute of Audio Research. There was no Full Sail. And so I, was self-taught. I had my own band, and I recorded them and I got a 4-track, a TAC 3340, quarter-inch 4-track tape that you could simul-sync. You could overdub, and it would be in sync with the track because it's a 3-head thing. And if you're playing back here and recording here, that's going to be out of sync. But if you play back and record on the same head, then it's, So I recorded the band, and I discovered the college radio station, became the self-proclaimed production manager, made jingles and all kinds of stuff that they ran for many years after I was gone. Mm-hmm. And what else can I play with audio-wise? And I started taking around my little demo reel that I created of production, brought it to these recording studios, and they said, well, you have any clients? Who was I? I was a 23-year-old kid. So I got a job as a messenger at National Recording Studio, but I didn't know it was a messenger job. I got interviewed, and they said, well, you might have to sweep the studio and set up microphones. Oh, that's an assistant gig. So I showed up kind of dressed up the first day, and the guy said, here, take this package to Madison and 54th. I said, what's that? He said, well, you're a messenger, go. So I kind of got burned on the first day. And I thought, all right, you know what? I'll just be the best messenger they ever had.
Right.
And then because the other messengers were like, let's go to Central Park and smoke a joint. And I said, no, they said this is a rush. I'm not smoking any joints. And, so then I guess I was the best messenger. Then I was the best head of shipping. You really came up the ranks. Best head of shipping. And then you could go either radio production, video editing. Video was in its infancy. So, radio, video, or music. And I wanted music. So I got thrown on film score jobs and albums and mostly advertising. So it was the sort of the heyday and towards the end of the jingle era, the mid 70s into the 80s. And I did a lot of jingle work. We were doing, 2-3 jingle sessions a day, 5 days a week.
And we just talked to Liz Atherton, and her father, Jody Lyons, was an amazing jingle producer.
He was either Pam's or Jams of Dallas, right?
Pam's, yeah.
Pam's of Dallas. So, yeah, they were all the radio stations, and you still hear those same. As a matter of fact, on the Who Sellout album, there's some Pam's jingles on there, which I used in my little demo that I was taking around. As a matter of fact, I think I even sent the demo to Pam's, and they gave me a cease and desist letter because I was using their thing as an element. I wasn't laying claims to have created the jingles, but I used them in my little concocted demo. So, yeah, I know this about Pam. No, I did a lot of Hasbro toys, My Little Pony, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and I assisted on I Love New York and every airline, every beer, just a lot of, only did high-end clients. I mean, that's how I got this.
And what is that one for?
This is for CBS Sports 1992 Winter Olympics. The bobsled event had a little interstitial, and I did sound design. I did all the sound effects, and I was working at Howie Schwartz Recording. And then I after that job, I moved on to a different facility, but I was still phoning in for my messages. So I said to the girl, "Any messages?" And she said, "Oh yeah, your Emmy is ready." And I said, "What do you mean? What Emmy?" I had no idea that CBS entered it. I saved the little pink slip the operators used to fill out about your messages. It says your Emmy is ready. It's in my scrapbook. It's the last page of my scrapbook. And then the FedEx man showed up, and there was the Emmy. So it was just another job. I recorded a lot of film scores, and you would think, hey, that's a big deal. My first feature film was Kramer versus Kramer. So theoretically, I'm an Academy Award-winning recording engineer. And I was so excited. I said, oh, great. Is my name going to be in the credits? And they said, the credits are already cut. Because what I worked on was an afterthought. And so all the Vivaldi music that's in Kramer versus Kramer, Academy Award-winning film, I should write to them and say, can we go back to 1980? I was a kid, And then my first credited feature film was Woody Allen's Zelig. And the assignment was, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was make it sound like 1928. That was my assignment. And they brought in all these old microphones and stuff. And that really didn't do it. I had to really unlearn noise reduction, put tape hiss and, EQ and overcompress. And
fresh stories roll off the press every day about Zelig.
The manifestation is neurological.
Although the doctors claim to have the situation in hand, no two can agree on a diagnosis.
I should not be surprised.
I'm convinced that it's glandular in nature and all over.
Try to make it sound like 78 or an old radio show. And I got to record the real Betty Boop. That was the highlight of my career.
That's amazing.
And she was 80 years old, and she sounded great. And but where do you go then? So I wasn't even 30 years old, and where do you go from there? The next film, I did a lot of Woody Allen films. So the next film was Broadway Danny Rose. That's a great film, but the assignment was then record every Italian standard known to man. There was nothing creative for me to do except to make it sound nice. So, but the creativity of Zelig, the first session they did like a kind of an audition, and they brought in this Mae West sound-alike, and they had tried to do this. They tried to record this at A&R Studios, and Woody had this great idea in his head, like as if the way they used to record was one microphone, which is not true. So what you heard, they said, here, don't make it sound like this. So they played me this thing, and you could hear the singer. She was at the microphone. Piano was there, and way in the back was the orchestra. So they said, don't make it sound like this. So I put microphones all over the place. As a matter of fact, they weren't sure what the film was going to be, whether it was supposed to sound like all 1928. This was a fake. It was a faux documentary about a fictitious character named Leonard Zelig, the human chameleon. And all kinds of songs were written about him and celebrities. So they have some really intricate trick footage. And I said to them, because after they told me it's 1928, I said, oh, you're going to shoot it in black and white and stomp on the film and stuff and make it look nasty? And they said, you want to wear cement shoes? I said, no, I can keep a secret. It's okay. And when you see the film, you could see they did nasty things. They hung it up in the shower and sprayed stuff on it. And it's really cool. Maybe we'll show a clip from Zelig just to show what they did there.
You mentioned like Betty Boop and this and so forth, and I know you've got this love of all old pop culture, like old things pop culture.
I see you've got Poppin' Fresh back there. Do you know who the original voice of Poppin' Fresh was? Yeah.
Tell me. It was
yeah.
Tell me.
Paul Frees.
Yes, Paul Frees.
Yeah, Paul Frees.
Yep.
For those who don't know, Paul Frees was Boris Badenoff and Squiddly Diddly.
A lot of Disney attractions.
Yeah, he's the Haunted Mansion. When you go in the Haunted Mansion, we all have I have the session recording from that. You probably have that, with all the outtakes. And so a lot of voice, and Inspector Fenwick on Dudley Do-Right. So, yeah, he was... There's a few people who were kind of like Mel Blanc. They just didn't quite have the notoriety. So Paul Frees is one of them. Jack Mercer, who was the original voice of Popeye, but also in the 60s, then he was Felix the Cat and the Rock Bottom and the Professor and Poindexter and Master Cylinder and Vavoom and all those voices. But he eventually got writing credit. So you watch some of the 1940s Popeye, and you'll see under story or writer, Jack Mercer and even Jay Ward, who later produced Rocky and Bullwinkle after they did Crusader Rabbits and Raglan T. Tiger. That was their first animated thing. So there were a bunch, and then Mae Questel did all the girl voices pretty much, Betty Boop, Olive Oyl, and anything else. And then when the Fleischer Studio, who produced Popeye, they moved to Florida to avoid the paying union rates, however we feel about that. They moved to Florida. Mae Questel was raising a family. She didn't move. So Jack Mercer's wife, Marjorie Hines, I think, she became Betty Boop and Olive Oyl for a couple of years. And then, I don't know, then by 1938, Mae Questel had come back to doing, she was Olive Oyl and also Little Audrey. So she was and then you get to Bea Benaderet, who did a lot of voices, Betty Rubble, and she was on the Burns and Allen show. She was the neighbor. She was Blanche. And she was for Warner Brothers. She was the original Granny, I believe, and then June 4-8 took over. So she did, or if you think of Bugs Bunny and meets Red Riding Hood, that's Bea Benaderet. That's an awfully big schnauzola for you to have, you know.
This pop culture has played into a lot of your marketing too. I mean, for instance, know, these things,
that's supposed to be them.
My favorite.
Now I took one for the team on that one.
We would like to cast your gut to play in a couple of roles.
You know, God bless my ex-wife, the graphic designer. And I said, because she made me pose, and I looked at it, I said, could you just Photoshop, could you just shrink my stomach a little bit? And there is a version of that.
That's shrunk?
No.
Whoa. Wow. I would ask her to do some more.
Glory. Do you have the original one handy, or maybe I do? But
no, I don't.
It's the Amazing Colossal Man. It's Glenn Manning. You know, it's radioactive, and he's wearing like a loincloth, which is why I kind of dressed up like that. So
it's spectacular.
Branding, and tie-dye and bagels. And socks. What socks do I have on today, Cam? I have cassettes.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. That smells good.
Yeah. Smells like iron oxide.
and rose petals.
Remember that brand of cassette, Rose Petals?
No.
Well, we're just making it up.
There's the rose petal cassettes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Getting into things, you do a lot of now currently demo production. You do podcast. What all do you do now?
If it has anything to do with sound, that's what I do. But the majority of my work is helping people with their home studio to get broadcast quality, which was a big deal when the pandemic hit. Mark Scott said to me, Mark Scott, the king of marketing, said, "Hey, you got anything you want to give away, and help the voiceover industry?" I said, "I'll do free home studio evaluations." So I got 500 emails came in, and 3/4 of that turned into my 2-hour life-changing Adobe Audition. So I had a good year in 2020 and 2021. So I set up your home studio. I teach. I set up and teach Adobe Audition, Audacity, and Twisted Wave. I put in my intuitive keyboard shortcuts, and I have to brand myself with this. There I am coming down Mott Street. We're going to 17 Mott Street, which is Wohop, even though that's a mock-up. That's really Hop Key, but don't tell anybody. That's really 21. And so I set up, And my settings are what I call artistically tasteful settings. They're not over processed, so you can run the whole thing without somebody saying, "Oh, we told you we want a raw file."
Right.
I don't believe in hard limiting and over compressing, and I guess there's a time and place for that. Radio imaging might be that, or promo, or gaming. But so people have listened to my demos and say, you know what I like about your demo? It breathes. It's not just a solid block of hard limited over processed stuff. Because not everything on the air sounds that processed, So that's the style. I just don't do that style. Nobody's ever asked me to back off on processing.
Right.
Artistically tasteful. I got to put that up on the website.
Artistically tasteful.
Yes. When you want artistically tasteful settings in your Adobe or Audacity or Twisted Wave, you come to me.
What are some of the big mistakes you see when somebody comes to you for fixing their audio?
That they hired somebody else to do it first.
I know this. That has to do with editing as well. It's like, so can you fix this?
No, there are other people who train in Adobe and Audacity and stuff. And that's fine. If people understand the different teaching style, there's room for everybody. I use this every day. I've been using this every day since it was Cool Edit 96. Every day. And I came up with my own process, my own shortcuts, and my own set of settings that are not generic. You send me a sample, I listen, I figure out what EQ you might need and how much de-essing and which de-esser to buy. So I advise people on software plugins, microphones, interface, external hardware. People, and there's a lot of peer pressure. Even from when Source Connect did their thing, I mean, they kind of implied that you really need a Mac to do voiceover. And God bless the people who have a Mac, even though that's not what I say to them. I say I forgive you. And I have a MacBook Pro. It's not anything bad against Mac. It's just you don't need. Some people have come to me, and not only did they get a new interface that's too fancy, like an Apollo Twin that they really don't need, or universal audio with tubes. It's got tubes. It's got compression and all that, because it's peer pressure. So, or they bought a Neumann 103, and they're just starting out because they heard that's what you should get. And if you're just starting out, you don't need an Apollo Twin, you don't need a universal audio compressor, and you don't need a Neumann 103 or 87 or anything.
Much cart before the horse.
It's cart before the horse, but there's a lot of peer pressure. So, if you ask around, or even if you call Sweetwater, and they originally were more primarily about music and not necessarily about voiceover. So they started selling Rode NT1A because it's affordable. And I think because also they have a lot of leftovers in stock, because the 1A is thin and bright and overly sibilant, and it's too much high end. So you could buy the Rode NT1 and that's fine. So anybody with a 1A, I make them return it or sell it. And you don't need to spend more than $300, especially if you're just starting out. I'm not a fan of USB mics, but under $300 for a mic, $120 for a mic interface. You don't need anything fancy. Just get it clean.
What do you think's the best way to connect? Like, I have a USB mic for this thing. This isn't USB. I've just got the little Focusrite, whatever, this box.
Right, it's Scarlett.
But it's yeah. So what's the best way to connect? Like, Macs don't really have. They have USB-C predominantly, and that's it. So what kind? I mean, you use cards that you interface with on the PC.
It's one of the reasons I really love Apple, because they keep taking shit away. There's no more USB ports. There's no more Ethernet port. The first thing that went away was the CD drive. Okay, fine. Then the headphone jack went away on the iPhone. Yeah. And they just keep taking away stuff so they can sell you adapters. So now you need a lightning bolt to USB so that you can plug your Steinberg or whatever you got I'm not a fan of Focusrite, especially for PCs. Every time Windows does an update, it tends to corrupt the drivers. So I have a Steinberg UR22. If you got one microphone and you don't need 2 channels, Steinberg UR12 for $115. That's really all you need.
And then what's the connector out of that? It's a USB out of the back end? Okay.
Yeah, it's a square,
so that's the only
square
way.
USB. It comes with it. Yeah. And you can't
same.
You can't put a long extension on that. You can't put a 20-foot USB extension like to keep the if you want to put if your computer should be outside the booth so you don't hear the fan, you can't keep the interface in the booth with you to check levels and run a long cable out. It's the interface has to live near the computer on a short
lead. So do I have to have a booth? I mean, is it absolutely necessary if I'm going to do recording?
Well, what my ear tells me about you right now is you're in a room. I'm forgetting about that. I could see it, but I can hear that your voice hits the ceiling and comes back, or it hits the wall and comes back. Yep. You don't need a booth. You can do a PVC frame booth. That's fine. Just PVC pipes and producer's choice packing blankets hung on that. That's a perfectly good. You just want it to sound dead. You have to start in a quiet space because there's very little you can do about soundproofing without a real booth like a studio brick or a whisper room. So you could treat that space. You could put stuff up on the ceiling. You can put stuff on the walls. You can have panels built, or you can build them. It's just that your voice hits the wall and it comes back, or it hits the ceiling and it comes back, and that's not acceptable.
Okay, I want to relate this to TV because I do a lot of film work, and in terms of audio, sometimes you're on a set, you got a bad location, you get crappy audio, you're just like, okay, we're going to ADR this. A lot of films is replacing the dialogue after the film is done. So, do you want you want to kind of replicate the area that you were in? Let's say one mic was bad and we really like the other one. We want to match, and I can't get that other actor to come back. So, do I want a complete clean recording for ADR, and then I add back until it sounds like the other room, or do I record the room sound itself? And then what way would you recommend?
Yeah, on set, and I'm sure you know this. So after a take on set, everybody be quiet for a minute, and you get that ambience, that room tone that you can then lay it underneath whatever room you're in, if there's air conditioning running or HVAC or something, or if there's light traffic. Hello.
That was great.
Right on cue,
He was calculating that too. He said this in the back.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And so lay that underneath. I had to mix a spot. Terrible. It was some sort of lawn weed. I guess it was weed, like Weed Be Gone kind of thing. So they shot all day. They cut the takes together, and there were crickets in every take. But early in the day, the crickets were at one pitch. Then as it got hot in the day, the pitch got higher. The pitch got lower as it got late at night. And they cut it all together, not thinking anything of, but the crickets. So I had to denoise. This is before we had isotope and all that. So I had to find a way to. I had a thing called the Berwyn dynamic noise filter, and I got the crickets. I minimized the crickets, and then I threw a layer of crickets on top. We're singing a lawn, so crickets would be appropriate, just not the changing pitch of crickets every cut, every edit that they made.
I can't imagine butting those up against each other. Chee, 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 chee.
Exactly, different volumes and different pitch.
That's terrible. Yeah. So I've seen something done recently that let's say you take you get a sample of the room tone, and then they bring it back, and the AI sort of is analyzing that clip to determine what the frequency and the reverberation is, and then you can apply that frequency to the ADR to make it sound like. Is that something you've seen? Is that something that's been done for a while? Is this relatively new? And is it effective?
Yeah, the advanced version of Isotope RX, now 9, has ambience match. just like you said. So you load it in and or EQ match. You can have different dialogue. And so I guess you could put in your ADR and say, okay, make it match, that original. And
so you could make my room sound like Jason's.
Yeah. For whatever reason, you would want that. But Jason's room could also be tightened up with Isotope RX.
Yeah.
With the deverb, because you teach it, like you get a sample of it, you teach it, it learns, oh yeah, there's the decay. And then it almost noise gates it or cancels out any of that trail out, the reverb that's left in your room. So yeah, we have some tools, some pretty cool tools to be able to do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, my room. If I talk closer, it helps.
At least it's only in the left channel, so I don't have to hear it out of both ears.
You can mono it later, Cam.
Oh yeah, that's right. We can reverse phase it and take out the.
Well, but the people in the middle will be gone, and he'll be the only one left.
And then we have a good show, right? Yes, I think I find it very interesting. I see a cat. Oh, look at him now. He's made himself comfy.
Because she's on the power supply. It's warm over there, right?
Yeah. Well, she also conquered you already, so it's like, okay, I've conquered, and now it's time to go.
How many cameos will she make in the so far? 2, right?
I went to film school, and then I ended up teaching film school at the New York Film Academy. And one of the things I noticed when I was going through film school is like the idea of sound. Like, oh, don't worry about it. Like sound was always that redheaded stepsister or cousin, that was like. And then afterward, they're like, why does it sound so bad? And you're like, well, you didn't record good audio when you were doing it. So
yeah, on the set, put lavs besides the fish pole, because that's going to get the whole room. I worked on a film that was like it was like a B horror film, and they rented this mansion that had nothing in it, and here are these women in high heels.
Oh, right? Gosh.
So while the dialogue is going on, the high heels, so I had to go into each high heel click and bring down the volume. But then in some of the other scenes, the girls weren't wearing any shoes, and I had to put in the missing, just like the crickets, I had to put in the missing, hey, they're walking, how come we're not hearing them? We're in this empty mansion with wooden floors. So we had to, yep.
So that's a sort of Foley. That's Foley right there. Yeah, and I know. Yeah. So do you do a lot of? Have you done Foley? Do you enjoy it, or is it like a no? I don't like that.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Right. I
mean, I've done it. Some people have given me here's my little low budget film. Can you do sound design and Foley and everything? So yeah. I mean, one of the guys taped paper clips to his fingers because the dog was supposed to be walking, and we had a slate wall, and we mic'd the wall, and he was like the walking of the dog. So yeah, real Foley stage has all these different floors.
And the pits gravel. You can pull up. Yeah, sand, gravel. Yeah, they're impressive. Those stadiums.
Yeah, there were some pretty cool videos of people doing Foley. There's this one woman doing it, and I'm thinking, why aren't you ever smiling in this video?
They never look happy. They never look happy.
He didn't look happy. Maybe they're underpaid. Maybe there's no Foley union or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, we're up against time, but I want to get you back. So let's do a part 2 to this.
Cool.
Because there's so much more to talk about, including VO barbecue, including a lot of this stuff that we haven't even covered.
But you have to show up at the VO BBQ.
Well, yes, that's right. Yes, you've been. Yeah, you've been, and you've been with me to Micro Center. You reminded me. I forgot. So the VO BBQ 17 is October 8th and 9th, 2022. So let's end this show, and the next episode will continue our conversation.
And I'll wear a different
Uncle Roy
shirt.
Yokelson. We'll all have the same shirts on. I mean, they know.
Same.
Behind the scenes, we're recording this back to back.
Is this like? Oh, okay. I thought it was
we're fine.
Like Family Feud, and it's like, why are they wearing the same clothes?
Good answer. Good answer.
All right. See you next time, kids.
Yes, we'll be back with another great and amazing episode of Entertainment Dudes.
A very exciting episode. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome.